So, were you not expecting this? It's the 4th of May, for goodness sake, and of course I'm going to do a review of Attack of the Clones eventually, and I'm actually doing the worst Star Wars movie, which ironically was probably my favourite one as a child. But yeah, I'm doing a review on Attack of the Clones, and in fact I'll be doing a review of a Star Wars movie every single month until Rogue One in December. Obviously I won't have the same amount of footage. But yeah, let's get into this abomination of a movie. So a longer time ago, in the same galaxy far, far away, we got Star Wars: Attack of the Clones, a movie that had to prove that Phantom Menace was a mistake, and only a mistake. But just like the Phantom Menace, there's a load of politics and stuff which children definitely want to see in this movie. And also, we learn about the mysterious Count Dooku, even though that's debunked after 5 minutes.
He is a political idealist, not a murderer.
You know, milady, Count Dooku was once a Jedi.
This is just such terrible CGI establishing shots of Coruscant. Like, the CG is so terrible. Like, only now am I realizing how awful the CGI is, especially in this one. Mostly because everything in this movie is CGI, and that really annoys me about the movie. Oh my god. And like, it just takes so long for the movie to get started. It just feels so boring. Then the first 5 minutes, those were like those were 10 of the most boring minutes of my life. And luckily there was no danger at all. What's going on? Why did this happen? It's never even explained. Like, did a rocket get fired at the ship? Was there explosives on it already? What's going on? Why is this happening? There's no explanation whatsoever.
I'm so sorry. I failed you, Senator. No.
And here's George Lucas's quality screenwriting, writing, and acting. Seriously, what the hell's going on here? P.S. This guy looks just like Nick Fury from the Avengers movies.
Master Yoda.
What is this? Why is Yoda made out of CGI? The fact is, in the documentary behind this, interesting fact, they wanted to make him look just like the puppet. Why not use the puppet, for God's sake? Like, every piece of CGI in this movie is terrible.
I think the Count Dooku was behind it.
Whoa, that's a bold statement there. I mean, I know I don't like Putin, but I'm not gonna say that he tried to assassinate me. You have no proof. Why are there so many wipes in this movie? If you haven't seen the honest trailer for this, there's like 50 different wipes. I mean, I can do that on Windows Movie Maker.
I haven't felt you this tense since we fell into that nest of Gundarks.
Bearing in mind, this is the only actual relationship scene between these two characters in this entire movie. Also, I'd rather be watching this than anything else in this movie. And if you didn't hate this movie already, Jar Jar's back. Yay. So after what feels like ages of expositional talking that means nothing, what we get out of this is that they need to protect the Queen and find answers. And we also find out that the CGI for Jar Jar hasn't got any better.
She hardly even I've thought about her every day since we've parted, and forgotten me completely.
I don't think she liked me watching her.
She's to be trusted.
And now the assassin attempts to kill Padme using worms. But luckily the Jedi get there just in time, and completely out of character, Obi-Wan throws himself out of a window. Well done. And then Anakin steals a car. So through ages of meaningless action, like, the thing is, with the prequels, they have good action, but that's about it. I have no character investment in Anakin or Obi-Wan. There's nothing else to them. And they never show pain either, which really does hurt the action of this movie, because you never feel anything for these two characters. I mean, for example, when Obi-Wan's falling, he just lands in the car casually. And that's it. And then we have a load of meaningless speed races just to show off George Lucas's computers, which aren't even that good. Look how long this is going. Like, these action scenes are so long, and so little happens in them.
Why do I get the feeling you're going to be the death of me?
Don't say that.
Is that a pod racer game I can see playing in the background?
You want to buy some death sticks?
You don't want to sell me death sticks.
I don't want to sell you death sticks.
You want to go home and rethink your life.
I want to go home and rethink my life.
Jesus, I love Jedi mind tricks. Now, admittedly they were cool in the originals, but they're way cooler in this movie. I mean, come on. You will keep watching my video and subscribe and like to all my content. So after waltzing around in a bar for a little bit, the bounty hunter finally shows herself. Whereas I think it's a her, she has a confusing face. Some species named a changeling. But they capture her anyway. Unfortunately, however, she's killed by a random bounty hunter. So now, well, this ain't good.
Then you will be invincible.
So, after yet again ages of exposition, Obi-Wan is going to track down the bounty hunter while Anakin is to look after Padme. Oh boy. Speaking of which, the dialogue in this movie is so awful that it's essentially just walking and talking, sitting and talking, transitions, goofy stuff, done.
It will be your responsibility to take my place in the Senate. Representative Binks, I know I can count on you.
Why? Jar Jar has no Senate experience whatever. I mean, he's probably the dumbest character in Star Wars ever. Why the hell would you trust him?
Great deal. Please don't look at me like that.
Why not?
It makes me feel uncomfortable.
Sorry, milady.
Am I the only person? But Anakin is really creepy in this movie. No, like, really creepy. I've had 3 creep moments already. And my god, Anakin seems like the Jedi equivalent of Justin Bieber. Looks the same way, acts the same way. The only difference is he could actually do something in a fight. And he's male.
Don't worry, we have our 2 with us.
What kind of laugh is that? And why is Padme finding it funny? I mean, I could come up with that, but it's not that funny. Anyway, Anakin's creepy. That's all that matters. I didn't think it'd get any weirder. But then they added in a 50s diner in Coruscant for some random reason. Anyway, in this diner, we get an important piece of information. Cloners on Kamino is where the dark came from. Unfortunately, I'm a bit distracted by weird 4-armed creatures and terribly composited CGI. And terribly made CGI.
Are you sure you have the right coordinates?
According to my...
So now what Obi-Wan needs to do is he needs to go and find Kamino in his maps. However, surprise, surprise, they're not there. So he goes to libraries, then he goes to Yoda, and he still doesn't get an answer. Guess who gives him the answer?
Erased it from the archive memory.
Freaking kids give him the answer. Now I'm going to skip all these boring expositional scenes. In fact, there's about 25 minutes of just expositional, boring scenes. So enjoy as the worst love story is brought on screen. And it is atrocious, trust me. And I'm still not done talking about how terrible the Queen is in this movie, right? They elect queens who are very young, then are made political advisors in the Senate. What? A, you don't elect queens, they do that by blood. And B, they certainly don't become political advisors. And D, that's like inviting a teenager to become the president of the US. You just wouldn't do that. Why didn't Obi-Wan just go to Kamino in the first place? I mean, I'm pretty sure the only reason that we saw this was just so we could see kids training to be Jedi. There was no other reason for this other than to add meaningless plot, which actually doesn't mean a thing later on in the movie. It's never explained until the 6th season of the Clone Wars. Afterwards, we get one of Star Wars' creepiest scenes, if not the creepiest scene.
I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere. Not like here.
Seriously, how is Padme falling for Anakin? Like, he is so awkward and so weird, and for no reason. Jedi aren't allowed to love. I mean, even Luke liked Leia, and now Anakin's creepily rubbing his hand on Padme's back. Look at that face. Creep. So Anakin and Padme finally get together after a weird, creepy scene. But don't worry, this isn't the last of the terrible love that these two have in this movie. In fact, we're not even halfway through this movie. On the more interesting side of things, Obi-Wan meets the Kaminoans, and the Mayor Lamasu says they're creating a clone army for the Republic, which was commissioned by the Jedi Council member, Sifo Dyas, who was killed 10 years ago. Reminds me, what happened 10 years ago? The Phantom Menace, when Palpatine was voted into power and this whole trade dispute happened. And guess what? For no reason, Newt Gunray is out of prison. It's as if the writing needed it.
Growth acceleration.
Oh, wait. Another thing we learned is that the bounty hunter Jango Fett was the template for these clones, which is also weird. I thought his name was Boba Fett.
I see.
Your father here?
Yep.
Oh no, that's Boba Fett, the poorly acted kid.
Sure.
And the terrible CG rooms
Dad,
and
Tonwee's here.
Kaminoan, I think that's what they're called. And it's here we meet Jango Fett, the bounty hunter that immediately is guessed to be the bounty hunter. Do you know why? I'll give you a hint. I can see the suit in the cupboard which has the door open. Isn't that genius? But to be honest, I'm not going to give too much hate to Temuera Morrison, whatever his name is. The point is, I don't think he does a bad job as Jango Fett. He actually is pretty good. I mean, aside from Ewan McGregor and Christopher Lee, he's like the only good portrayal in this movie. But yeah, it doesn't annoy me. And if the terrible CGI isn't enough for you, there's now a CGI pear. I mean, how hard is it? You put a pear on a string, you move it along using the ceiling. Turns out there was no ceiling to these sets, because George Lucas just used green screens.
Not a day has gone by when I haven't thought of you. I'm in agony. The closer I get to you, the worse it gets. The thought of not being with you. I can't breathe. I'm haunted by the kiss that you should never have given me. My heart is beating, hoping that that kiss will not become a scar. You are in my very soul, tormenting me.
You see, this is just like Romeo and Juliet. Like, just like it. I mean, the Shakespearean language and all, both can't love because reasons. The fact is, it's so poorly written and made that it feels just like Romeo and Juliet, but significantly worse.
You're suffering.
You're starting to become a Jedi. I'm a senator.
You see, this is the thing that makes it even worse. There's no reason why Padme wouldn't want to be with Anakin other than the fact he's a Jedi, and there's no reason that Jedi shouldn't love either. And also, their acting is so dreadful that I really just don't care about this love dialogue. I mean, the Kamino stuff's okay, but I'd rather be watching that than this boring stuff. However, Anakin is kept up at night with the dreams of his mother in pain, a woman who he hasn't seen in like 10 years.
Don't go.
I don't want to disturb you.
Your presence is soothing.
So after a meaningless quick call with the Jedi Council, Obi-Wan shows up and decides to go in guns blazing and just attack this guy who doesn't even know if the assassin is. Besides, he saw this guy from far away. How does he know if this really is the assassin? But anyway, they have a quick fight and stuff, which, again, is meaningless. You see, this is a problem with all the fights in the prequels. You never feel any loss of the characters because they're just alright and they're just fine. You don't care about the fight scenes. They're only in there just to entertain us and keep us between the boring dialogue.
Not good.
Okay, this may be the only thing which is actually good in this movie. Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan, okay? He's funny, he's good as the Jedi Master. To be honest, I prefer this guy over Alec Guinness. Don't kill me over saying that, but this is why I want to see an Obi-Wan standalone film. If you really want me to give my thoughts on that, then I will actually make a video on it. Unfortunately, Obi-Wan is lost during the fight and has to run over. Unfortunately, the ship has left, however, and also Jango Fett hits his head on the door. But anyway, Obi-Wan throws a tracking device onto the Slave One, and awesome, we're gonna see a chase scene. Never mind, it's just some more Phantom Menace-y Tatooine stuff. At least there's no Jar Jar this time.
Annie? Little Annie?
Annie! Anyway, through this long boring scene, we find out that Watto has sold Shmi Skywalker to someone named Lars. I wonder what shoehorn character that would be. But anyway, I'd rather be watching the Obi-Wan stuff than this boring Watto Tatooine stereotype stuff.
I think we're being tracked.
He must have put a homing device on our hull. Hang on, son, we'll move into the asteroid field.
Speaking of shoehorning in, guess what? We've got Boba Fett, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and an asteroid field ship chase with bombs. Yeah, that's not familiar at all for the second movie in the trilogy. But anyway, we have a pretty cool chase sequence between Jango Fett and Obi-Wan. The problem is, it's ruined by one thing.
Get him, Dad! Get him! Fire!
Yeah, shoehorned in Boba Fett is awfully acted. In fact, by a kid who, prior to this movie, had never seen a Star Wars film. Why did Lucas cast him? So, Obi-Wan jettisons random release parts, then stuff gets blown up, cool explosions, then Obi-Wan's randomly lost by Jango Fett, and Jango Fett goes to Geonosis with Boba, and that's the last we see of him for a while. But do you know who we do see? Obi-Wan sitting on an asteroid. But that doesn't matter, because we've got more Tatooine.
Hello, how might I be of service? I am C-3PO.
No way! Did they turn C-3PO into CGI? I mean, he actually looks really fake. So I'm presuming, like everything else in this movie, C-3PO is made of CGI. But yeah, he's shoehorned into this, Owen Lars is shoehorned into this. But the important piece of information we learn here is that Shmi isn't here.
These are good people, Padme. You'll be safe.
Safe? One of them's lost his leg, and the other two are like, I don't know, 20. Do you really think they're gonna be safe? Plus, kooky shadow dialogue. And then, Anakin's storyline becomes interesting. Yeah, so he starts speeding around looking for his mum. And I don't know if it's the music or whether it's the undertone, but this is like the only part of the plot which is good about this movie. I mean, it is still terrible with awful dialogue, but I must respect this whole part of the plotline. I feel it is actually very well thought out. Meanwhile, on Geonosis, Obi-Wan finds a massive factory of battle droids, and then he runs into Newt Gunray and a series of other people, including Count Dooku. Now, I checked the time here on the DVD, because the main villain of the movie is only introduced to us in 1 hour and a quarter of this movie. And also, Star Wars, what do you call this villain? He's not some scheming admiral or some lightsaber-wielding masked cool guy or some bounty hunter or some weird alien worm thing. He's just a gentleman. He's pretty much Donald Trump, but a lot older. I definitely want to see that in the movie, don't I? So, Anakin breaks into the Tatooine camps with all the sand people from episode 4. He then breaks into a tent and finds that his mum isn't in the best way. Yeah, it's highly alluded to what they've done to her. But the point is, she's near dead, so Anakin has a quick moment with her, and her performance, I dare say, is good. Now, just think about that. And Hayden Christensen doesn't do a bad stuff in this scene. I mean, does this actress just make people want to act the best to their ability? Anyway, Shmi sadly dies, and Anakin goes rage mode. And the interesting part of Anakin's subplot ends within about 3 scenes. And yeah, this is like the only proper scene of this, and you see the rage through his eyes. This is like the only scene that leads up to him being Darth Vader. But yeah, then it's followed by an atrocious scene.
You're not all powerful.
Well, I should be. Someday I will be. I will be the most powerful Jedi ever. I promise you. I will even learn to stop people from dying. It's all Obi-Wan's fault. He's jealous. He's holding me back.
Why are you
What's
crying?
wrong, Annie?
I can't act.
I killed them. I killed them all. They're dead. Every single one of them. And not just the men, but the women. And the children, too.
So, aside from the poorly written and acted dialogue, that's the second creepiest scene of the movie. And also, I've realised this. I watch it half an hour in chunks. It's been an hour and a half, and there's only been, like, 3 action scenes, plus Anakin killing a few dudes. So, after a funeral and a quick transmission from Obi-Wan, they decide to go to Geonosis. One of the dumbest ideas ever. An untrained Jedi Padawan and the person who they're trying to kill going to the base of the enemy
They'll never get
to
there,
rescue
Honestly.
someone
They
who
have to come
may
halfway
be
across the
dead,
galaxy.
even though they have a billion people coming to save them in a few minutes.
Geonosis.
And then, back in Geonosis, the supposed villain decides to interrogate/interview Obi-Wan.
There are no bounty hunters here that I am aware of. The Geonosians don't trust them.
There's a live Dooku's, even though he's trying to be honest.
What if I told you that the Republic was now under the control of the Dark Lord of the Sith?
No, that's not possible. The Jedi would be aware of it.
The dark side of the
Okay,
Force
so with this
has clouded their
information,
vision, my friend.
Obi-Wan A doesn't believe
Hundreds
it,
of
but when
senators are
he
now under the
starts
influence
believing it,
of a Sith
how
Lord
many people
called
in control in the
Darth
Senate
Sidious.
are there who masses of people would follow?
I don't believe you.
The
The
Supreme
Viceroy
Chancellor.
of the Trade Federation.
And the weird
was
thing
once
is, in the
league
third
with
movie,
this
they say the
dark
dark side surrounds him.
Mr.
So why not just
Propos,
arrest him for being a
that
Sith
the
Lord in
Senate
the first place?
Give immediately emergency powers to the Supreme Chancellor.
Wait, so hold on a second. Does that mean that Jar Jar is the reason the Empire came about? Yes, I finally have a reason to kill him.
And as my first act with this new authority, I will create a grand army of the Republic.
Known as
counter the increasing
shoehorned in
threats of the
stormtroopers.
I will take what Jedi we have left and go to Geonosis and help Obi-Wan.
Visit, I will.
Why didn't you do this in the
corners on
Phantom
Kamino.
Menace when there was a Sith Lord around
And see this
and
army
Qui-Gon
they have
died?
created for the Republic.
Or maybe when this whole bounty hunter issue was going on, you only thought to use 2 Jedi. So Anakin and Padme go to Geonosis with R2-D2 and C-3PO for some reason. Why? For those who don't know what I just found so funny, if you watch that again, look specifically at Hayden Christensen's head. They try to use a complex CGI door, and Hayden Christensen's head goes straight through it. So after a quick encounter with the Geonosians, Anakin and Padme fall onto this conveyor belt thing, which is all entirely CGI, which takes any interest out of the battle. So instead we have Natalie Portman trying to work through CGI, Hayden Christensen trying to work through CGI. Oh, what's next? R2-D2 and C... Oh, you're joking. We also learn R2-D2's murder statistics. That's weird. When did R2-D2 ever have this flight ability? I feel like it's just shoehorned in there for writing.
Oh no!
And for comic relief, they put C-3PO's head on a battle droid.
I'm so confused.
Yay. Although, unfortunately, the rescue mission for Obi-Wan doesn't go so well, as Padme and Anakin are quickly captured. Yeah, that's great, isn't it?
I truly, deeply love you.
I don't. I mean, look, you either love someone or you don't. You don't deeply, truly love someone.
I truly,
hate this awful movie. So, Anakin and Padme join the fun with Obi-Wan. Not in that way. But they get attacked by these weird creature things, and it is then revealed that Count Dooku does work with Jango Fett and the Trade Federation. God, this is like a conspiracy theory. Speaking of which, I've just realised this. How does no one ever notice that Anakin and Padme love each other? It's so obvious throughout the movie, and no one noticed. But anyway, there's some weird creature stuff, I don't know. That was very important to the plot. Padme showed more skin. God, that must have really hurt. I mean, I know if it was a man it would definitely hurt. I don't know, does it hurt when women do that as well? But our team is only then captured to be met with Mace Windu, who has a purple lightsaber. When was that ever canon? I mean, I know there's green, red, and blue, but when was there ever purple? But anyway, a load of Jedi come running in, and all hell breaks loose with a load of CGI battle, where there's a whopping one character I care about in this entire fight. Obi-Wan. And he's probably the one that fights the least. Yay. So we come across the dumbest Jedi ever. Jango gets unbrained. R2 fixes 3PO's head. I don't know how R2 made it here, I don't know, because movie. And our Jedi are captured by Count Dooku and his huge droid army. Until an army of CGI clones with a CGI Yoda, with CGI gunships, against CGI droids in a CGI arena happens. And yeah, I kinda lost it at this point, because now it's just two disposable armies put against each other. And I don't care. The fact is, one thing I really like about the Clone Wars is that it made various clones human, which I always thought was really good about this. In this one, it's just clones. It's just, basically, someone press copy, and then they click paste. No, clones are different, they just look slightly different. But there's nothing else to these guys. I mean, if they were different people, I'd at least feel it a bit more. But no, these are just CGI people in the same costume, so I don't care.
Most peculiar dream.
Do droids have dreams? And second, why is Jango Fett's head not plopping out of his helmet? Isn't that what physics is? And the Death Star gets shoehorned in now. What next? But Dooku's getting away. But luckily, for some reason, Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Padme are on the case to chase him down. But they're out of rockets, so what do they do next? I don't know, let's see. Okay, only joking, but Anakin goes rage mode, Padme falls down, and now... Well, I still don't care.
Together. You're going slowly on the left.
Taking him now! No, Anakin, no! No!
Got to get to that hangar. Get a transport.
Wait, how does Padme know about the hangar? Did she read the script? I mean, they were just chasing Dooku, weren't they? Then, Dooku royally owns Obi-Wan, royally owns Anakin, and we get the worst lightsaber duel ever. Look, I'm sorry, George, but you messed up here. I mean, the choreography isn't that good. There's 2 points of choreography that I'll point out which are just done terribly. But this just is not so good. I have no investment in the hero or Dooku. Speaking of which, here's saber flaw number 1. Hero loses arm in the second movie to a red lightsaber wielding Sith with the name of Darth. I wonder what that sounds like. But that doesn't matter because Yoda's here and he's ready for a fight. A rock throwing fight. I don't know, a lightning fight? But hey, that doesn't matter because according to George Lucas, only a lightsaber matters just to entertain kids. What the hell is this? Is Dooku fighting Yoda? This looks so weird. It's like some Muppet or tiny thing floating around and just hopping everywhere. I mean, what chance does Yoda stand? Oh, there's Saw 2. Dooku just falls on his own. The hell is this? But the fight is cut short, thank God, by Dooku trying to throw this thing on Anakin and Obi-Wan. And then Dooku escapes. Hey, Yoda, throw it at the ship. That's a piece of advice. So, Padme and the clones get there, Yoda saves Anakin and Obi-Wan's lives, and we have another increasingly obvious moment. The Anakin and Padme have something going on. And also, what kind of ship is this? What the heck is that? So we learn that Dooku's master is that weird hooded guy, also shoehorned in Emperor. Yoda, a shoehorned in character, then talks about a Clone War, and we see a load of shoehorned in Imperial stuff. You know, I'm digging this awesome ending to this Attack of the Clones movie. Like, this may actually be the best Star Wars film ending ever. I'm not kidding. Oh, you're kidding? Are you actually kidding? So this isn't the end of the. This is the end of the movie, right? This movie just refuses to end. Anakin and Padme get married. They live happily ever after. I guess this isn't a dark ending. Yay! I hate this movie. Roll credits. So I guess I have to go now. What I liked or disliked. For a start, the action was okay. I mean, it was a bit CGI-ful. It was just okay. There was only one character I was invested in, which was Obi-Wan. I feel that Count Dooku and Jango Fett were okay. I mean, we had Yoda, he was okay as well. And that's about it. Yeah. Now to get to all the major criticisms I have. First up, this movie is first and foremost a love story. A terrible one. The dialogue is awful. Like, there is no chemistry between these two characters, and no chemistry between me and these two characters. Anakin is so poorly done in this movie. I don't feel like this would be Darth Vader. I feel like this is Justin Bieber if he was a Sith Lord. And as for Padme, she's monotone and unlikable, just like in The Phantom Menace. Then there's the villain. Dooku is an awful villain. Okay, he is the worst Star Wars main villain. I'll tell you why. He shows up at 1 hour 15 minutes into the movie. Yeah, that's not bad at all. And when he gets to his fight scene, it looks all stilted and weird. A couple of other things that I just hate about this movie. It throws in so many original lingo that really doesn't need to be there. I mean, I think Stormtroopers should be in there, and I think Obi-Wan should be in there. But, you know, did they have to put in the Emperor? Did they have to put in Yoda? Did they have to put in Z-3PO? No. This movie wouldn't really change much if you hadn't shown these two characters. Do you see what I mean here? And of course, I didn't point this out earlier, but the CGI makes me want to kill myself. They use so much CGI in this movie. I pointed this out earlier, but CGI sets, CGI characters, and of course stakes in this movie. Now people say, oh, the fights are really good. There's no character investment, is there? I mean, I'm kind of invested in Obi-Wan, but I know he's gonna live to fight another day, so it doesn't really concern me in these fights. And with the clones, they're all CGI expendable soldiers. I would have had it they were voluntary or something. That way, you'd care more if they actually died. And that's pretty much it that I have to say about this movie. This movie is directed terribly. This movie is written terribly. Acted terribly. Terrible plot, terrible story. There's only one part of the story I like, which is the whole Anakin's mother thing. But that's about it. I mean, the rest of it just is a load of nothing. A load of boring, meaningless action scenes. In fact, through the first hour and a half of this movie, I was dead bored. It was only the last half an hour where I wasn't bored, but more face-palming. And it still has all the problems. And I'm gonna look forward to watching Revenge of the Sith. But anyway, this movie will put me on suicide watch. And almost only because of how boring it is in the first hour and a half. And even further than then. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this little in-depth, well not little at all, it's like half an hour long, probably longer. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you thought I was actually going to do episode 3, all I will say is this, from the words of Master Yoda. And I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye!
Begun the Clone Wars.